Welcome to the Balancing Ambitions podcast. I'm your host, Kim Menapace. You are not alone in your pursuit to balance family life, work, side hustles, and taking care of yourself. Balance is not easy to achieve by any means, but we can all work to get better at it together by sharing our stories, tips, and wisdom. Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Balancing Ambitions podcast. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, and so I thought it'd be good to do a personal update today to explain why there's been a lapse in weekly podcast. I also just haven't done a personal update in a while and thought it'd be really fun to share some new things going on in my life. So, the first one I want to share is that I have decided to run the Boston Marathon in 2026. Now, this came about through a few different channels, so I'll explain step by step on how I came to this decision. The first is I was listening to a coaching call for my husband. He runs a mindset call for one of the coaching groups he does. And on that call, he asked people what belief is. How do they define it? And then in the opposite vein, what is disbelief? What would happen if we suspended disbelief for a year? What would we try to do? What would we accomplish in our life? How would our life look differently than if we didn't? Bringing this example that he brought, I have belief that I will get paid every other week, twice a month. I know I've never had an issue with that. My paycheck gets deposited on the 15th and the last day of the month. I never have to think about it. I know it's just in the bank. That's a belief, that's a knowing, that's a faith that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to and the way they have been, and you have no reservations or worries about that. So if you commit to a goal with that same level of confidence and faith and belief, it can happen too. So if I say I'm running the Boston Marathon and I hire a coach and I visualize myself crossing that finish line, getting that medal, I visualize hitting my fundraising goal for the charity I'm going to run, it's going to happen. And I had that aha moment when that was the big goal that was coming to mind. It wasn't in my career or family or something else. It was the Boston Marathon. I have always wanted to run the Boston Marathon with a number to get a medal and have that be on my life bucket list and check that box off. That coaching call combined with these retreats I go on quarterly with my mastermind where they ask us, hey, what is your bucket list? Write it out. Check off the things you've accomplished. What else are you going to move the needle on this quarter? It was unequivocally clear to me that I need to set a date to when I'm going to do the Boston Marathon. I'm not getting any younger. I can do it now. I'm in a better place, schedule wise, mentally, physically. And my husband and I talked about it, and I said, I really want to do this. This is what it's going to mean on our schedules. This is the strain it's going to have on yours, where I am going to train in the mornings and not be as available for daycare drop off. I need a weekend morning to do my long runs. How can we make this work? And he was so supportive. So it was just a done deal at that point. And I had already identified a coaching group that I would work with. They are called Marathon Training Academy. Now, I found them several years ago. I was actually almost 15 years ago, right when I was out of college, where they had a podcast and I would listen to it because I was still doing marathons back then. A little quick background on my marathon journey in case you haven't listened to other episodes is that I actually have run Boston twice as a bandit runner, which means you don't have a registered number. You wait for all the registered runners to go, and then you get to run with a couple hundred other folks that are unofficial runners. For Boston, I did that in 2010 and 2011, but now they no longer allow that after the bombings. So, and I don't think other races do either because they want a record of every single person running. So I ran it. I have photos of it, but I don't have a registered number of, I don't have a registered time from running it, and I don't have a medal. I had those tinfoil blankets that they give you at the end when you're freezing, but also overheating and just so uncomfortable and can't walk. So I have that as my only badge of honor for running the marathon. And so I had always said I want to do it. I watched my aunts and uncles run it. I used to cheer as a kid at Cleveland Circle. And I knew after running it unofficially and running the New York Marathon as a registered runner, that I would want to do Boston someday. And I said, why is that someday still so far in the distant future? Why don't we bring it forward? let's do it now. So I made the decision and I hired a coach. And I even wrote in my entry form that I was doing the Boston Marathon and I also was doing a 10K this summer. And they said, congrats for qualifying for Boston. And I said, oh, I didn't qualify. I'm applying for a bib number with a charity and I'm going to get it. So that was my confidence there. So I just registered with that confidence with my trainer. And so I've been working with a running coach for 2 months. I am doing zone 2 training. And for those that aren't familiar, I'd recommend finding some podcasts. Rich Roll has some fantastic ones explaining what zone 2 training is. But basically, it's training at this within a heart rate zone that is in moderate level where you can still talk while you're exerting yourself and it feels very easy and that you could go on forever. And I did not do that when I trained in my early 20s. I didn't even know about it. I discovered it from Rich Roll's book, Finding Ultra. So I've been intentionally training in that level. And I knew I needed a coach to help keep my head on straight where I overthink things. I want to overachieve. I want to do extra. And that can be a bad thing when you're doing a fitness goal. You can overtrain. You can not allow enough rest. You can overthink. And so I knew myself well enough that I needed to just outsource the brain thinking around my running training and just have someone else do it, someone I can ask questions to, someone I can bounce ideas off of. And so that is why I hired my coach. I also was paired with a coach that really likes strength training and cross training because there's a couple dozen coaches actually at Marathon Training Academy. So I got a coach that promotes those things too and schedules that into my programming, which is so lovely. And I do see myself getting faster while staying in zone 2, which is really cool. I've actually shaved 5 minutes off my 3 mile pace just while staying in zone 2 heart rate, as well as 10 minutes off my 6 mile pace. So it's slowly getting there. It is painful for me and I feel like my discipline is getting really, really tested, having to run in zone 2, getting to run in zone 2 to really augment my aerobic capacity. But I am seeing some improvement in such a small time. So that is very encouraging. So ahead of the Boston Marathon, which is still 9 months away, 10 months away, I signed up for a 10K in the summer in Cape Cod. So I'll be running a 10K in August at the Falmouth Road Race, and I'm fundraising for a charity there. And I plan to apply to a charity to run. I have them identified. I'm not going to share so that I can get a bib number. Hopefully in October, I'll be announcing that I have one. But come hell or high water, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. There's actually statistics that hundreds of people actually aren't able to run that day because of injury or something. So I just know it's going to work out, but I'm going to get that bib in the fall is my plan and my goal and my dream. So that is my fitness update that I wanted to share with you. That's been changing my workouts and changing my body composition, which I do want to address too. Is I love strength training. I love my personal trainer Dave. So I shared with him my goal has changed recently, and that I'd be working with a running coach instead of him. But I'd still want to do strength training. So I have not been making it to the gym to do my strength training as regularly as I had thought I would. So I do feel my body composition changing unless I've lost muscle. So the second half of the summer, my goal is to maintain that running and continue that training, but really ensure I'm not missing any strength sessions so that I can have a good balance between the two. So that's my fitness goal. Next thing I want to cover is a house update. So my husband and I moved into this house back at the end of last year. And since then, we had a water leak in our house, which caused damage in the kitchen, bathroom, the closet of a bedroom, and the basement. And we had to do mold remediation and troubleshooting and insurance claims and all that fun stuff. So we're through a lot of that painful part already, thank goodness. But that has been time consuming and very emotionally and mentally taxing. So I found myself meeting with contractors on the phone with insurance several times, getting to the post office to overnight check several times, going to check out appliances for 3 hours on a Sunday to understand what appliances we might want in our house. So it's been a blessing where we get a new bathroom and kitchen, especially out of this, but it was an unexpected renovation that takes time and effort and thoughtfulness to really get what we want, to have this blessing in disguise where there really is a silver lining to this, but it wasn't on our terms that we chose to do this. It's not like we said, hey, next summer, let's do a fun renovation project together. And it was all on us and our timeline. We really had to jump quickly to make decisions because of this timeline wanting to put our house back together. As we have decided to stay here, we could get a rental because we're going to lose access to our kitchen's full functionality. But we decided to hunker down here given the rental options around the area weren't what we wanted. And we really wanted to be home, especially for our son starting kindergarten in a couple months. We want him to be in his home and to take photos on our, front steps and remember that moment forever in our actual primary home and not some rental. So that has been an unexpected curveball in 2025, but a blessing in disguise. And we're through some of the more challenging parts, which maybe we'll go into in another episode with my husband about some of the things that we were just very green to. We weren't aware of insurance process and hiring adjusters for yourself on your behalf and the pros and cons of that, what to look into that, what to look into when you're considering hiring an adjuster. And about trusting your gut. I think that was something that I learned throughout that whole early process of this insurance claim was listening to my gut and my standards and how acceptable I find communication or lack of communication and really vocalizing what I need and what I expect. And so that has been a learning and a journey for us that we'll probably go into a little bit more detail in its own episode, but we are underway with starting our construction, or I should say some more demolition than construction, but a lot of decisions have been made and things are moving. And we're excited to share some before and after photos from that. And yeah, our learnings from the whole process, since we're still relatively early, but through some major decisions, which feels really good to get some progress and momentum there. The next thing I want to cover is that we have been spending time in Cape Cod. We are splitting our time between our primary home, an hour and a half away from Cape Cod, and Cape Cod. We used to rent our house out for the last 6 summers. We did that where we used our house for 1 or 2 weeks ourselves, and then we rented it the rest of the summer and the shoulder seasons to help cover the expenses. Well, this year we decided to just bite the bullet and not rent it and not make that revenue and just use it ourselves. And it's been so liberating energetically where I'm not worried about the kids breaking something, staining something. My daughter put sunblock all over her feet and all over the screened-in porch floor and rubbed it around and stuff. And I'm not terrified about someone slipping on it or having to clean that so thoroughly before we leave tomorrow that I'm panicked. So there's been some liberation with it, and also some new way of living down there where when we'd only go for a week or two, we were in vacation mode for an extended period of time. What I mean by that is maybe we're not working out as much as we normally would, or we're eating more junk food than we would, getting ice cream more frequently than we would. Well, with the thought process and mindset of we are living on Cape Cod for the summer, I am living here. What are the key components of a well balanced life that I like? It's eating healthy, it's moving my body, it's having a sound place to work where I can get in the zone and be productive and then get out and go have family time. And so we are leaning into that and piecing that together more. And it's been so beautiful to experience our vacation spot on a new level where we also get to be more like our neighbors who do spend the whole summer there, who don't rent, and who we'd be sad to say bye to after a week or two and say, okay, bye, see you next year. We would even have tears in our eyes when we had to leave after that couple of weeks and say, man, we don't get to use this place for another year. Our big vacation we look forward to every year is over. How can we make that extended? How can we enjoy that for 3 months instead of 3 weeks? And we were able to make that happen this year, which has been so beautiful. And we have new experiences we're having with the kids where they're both getting older and they're no longer in diapers, which has opened up a whole new world for us. And then we've also joined a beach club that has lots of events for families and adults. And they have swim lessons and they have restaurants. And my husband worked from the beach club when it wasn't great weather a couple of days ago and was able to just hunker down and focus for 8 hours on his computer and had a blast there where he got to have lunch and his iced tea and have some space away from our house so the kids could play and have some time with the grandparents. So we're just finding this new level of living and this new normal for us while we're enjoying one of our favorite places. where we're super protective of our time too, where we get invited to social events on the weekends back home, and we're turning most of those down now because the window for the high season for Cape Cod and the beautiful weather is so short that we don't want to miss a second of it if we can. We can avoid it, especially with weather. Sometimes we'll block our weekend or want to go down on a Friday and it's pouring rain. So we say, never mind. So any chance it's above 70 and sunny, we're there. And the kids are doing camp down there too, which has been lovely as well, where they get to meet new kids and also have a little bit of structure and do swim lessons and arts and crafts and play on the beach at a camp. So it's been already an amazing summer, and we're not even halfway through July. And it's been so incredible to split our time there. Now, on that point of living in Cape Cod and splitting our time there, I've also discovered a amazing yoga studio. I do yoga once a week at a studio and then on my Peloton app in between. And I tried out a class during Juneteenth a couple weeks ago when there was that holiday, and the studio was beautiful. The music was amazing. The temperature of the room was awesome. The instructor was absolutely fabulous. And I just can't wait to go to classes there. I'm trying to get there even more than I already am. And so that was an unexpected surprise where I get to tie in my self care, my breaks and recharging from the family, my recovery from running in this beautiful, unexpected place that I discovered that I even want to go in the off season. I don't mind driving down there in the winter to go to a class because I love this place so much. So that's something that's been really opening my eyes is yoga and doing more of it. That's something that doesn't come naturally to me, but I've been really finding it brings me a lot of peace and helps me in so many ways with mobility, flexibility, mindset, mentality, just helping me clear my mind and really enjoy the moment and challenge both my mind and my body in different ways than anything else that does in a day or a week. So that's been another beautiful blessing of the summer is in the mindset of living down there. I'm trying these things that more locals do and people who are year rounders down there in the Cape do. And I'm finding some of the best studios and experiences of anywhere I've been. So that's been another great surprise and blessing of this summer so far. Now, lastly, about Cape Cod is that I actually also celebrated my birthday last week. I turned 37, and this birthday gives me pause in a different way than past birthdays have, where I remember looking up what age Princess Diana was when she passed away because I knew it was in her 30s, but I couldn't remember exactly how old she was. Now that I'm getting closer to the age she was, when I was in fourth grade, I was 9 and she died. I was a kid. I was a baby. I was her kids' ages. And now I'm starting to eclipse her actual age and be a young mom like she was. And so I looked that up and I found she was 36. So now I've already surpassed the length of time she had on earth at 37. And this makes me pause for a few reasons. One, it makes me think of how young I really am, because that's something we talked about with her, how much life she had left, how young her kids were, how she only got to see them for that short amount of their lives. And now they've lived a full life since she's passed. And now they're parents of themselves, all on their own as well. They've had weddings and yeah, all these amazing experiences. And she didn't get to see any of that. But also, she is known for her vulnerability and compassion and impact and service. And she's known for that for her short time on earth. And I think about how could I even have a fraction of that with what I do and how I serve people and how I help. So that's been an interesting perspective for me and refueling for me to think about that, where I have some wisdom under my belt, but I'm also so young and hungry and eager and willing to help and learn more myself and share what I know and learn and my experiences at a minimum with people through this podcast, through my content, and how I'm right where I'm meant to be. And I do get some more bonus time on this earth than she got to have. And I don't take that lightly. And so that's been something that's been really beautiful to reflect on this birthday as I exited my 36th year on this earth and entered my 37th. So I think that's a pretty comprehensive personal update for today. Thank you so much for joining. I will try to get these back to being weekly. Thank you for bearing with me as I frankly had things that were a higher priority and very urgent at the time to deal with. And so thank you for your grace and thank you for your support and your following. And if you haven't already, please follow, subscribe, and write a review. That helps other people find this podcast. And on that note, have a beautiful day. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. As always, if you enjoyed this show, please leave a review, because when you leave a review or share an episode, you make it easier for someone else to find us and benefit from these stories and tips we share. There is a link to everything we talked about in the show notes. Thank you all for listening to the Balancing Ambitions podcast, and have a beautiful day.